Okay, as you see, I was on my Instagram for Roho Chief Clothing, and I'm clicking on my online clothing store. And on here, I have clothes. I got hoodies, sweatshirts. You know, if you like to buy them, long sleeve, short sleeve. I'm clicking on hoodies right now for men, and that's one. And then I'm clicking back just to show you fashions that I have for women. Like I have long sleeve shirt. Okay. Then I even have clothing for babies as well and kids. So that's the onesie. You can get that in different colors, as well as t-shirts, hoodies, and long sleeves for kids. So now let's get ready for the show. Hey everybody, this is Kelly of Roho Cheap Clothing, and I'm going to tell you about the movie Beetlejuice, because I talked about Beetlejuice, the significance of it, and how it came out in 1988, and that was done on purpose because of numerology and the meaning behind numbers. Okay, and so anyway, so the number 8 is associated with the zodiac sign of Scorpio, which is the ruler of the house of death, which is the 8th house, which deals with other people's money, which you can see the money market or the stock market, stockbrokers, etc., and joint resources with business partners or husbands and wives. You can see that from there, and you can also see inheritance money like trust funds. Life insurance policies is also ruled by the 8th house. Okay, so let's get into it. The original Beetlejuice came out in 1988, and they just now coming out with a new one this year, which is the year of the 8. When you add up all the numbers of this year, we add up 2 plus 4, that gives you 8. Okay, so that's why that's significant, and the reason why they came out with Beetlejuice this year as opposed to any other year, right? So in the original, they had a man sitting next to Beetlejuice to his left, and he was of a chocolate brown complexion, and he had on black and white makeup on his face to give him the appearance that he was a person that was deceased, to let you know that he dealt with the spiritual realm, that he's dealing with spirits, right? In order to do whatever spiritual practices that he knows based on what he had inherited from his ancestors, spiritual practices that he had inherited by his ancestors that was passed down to him apparently, right? And so in the film, those magical practices that he learned, he used them against what looked like was a European man that was like I guess like a hunter or something like that, that had a gun. Okay, and the thing is that that guy who had the rifle, who was a Caucasian man, his head was shrunken, and Beetlejuice looked at the man with the shrunken head, and he looked at the Indian man, the Indian shaman, a voodoo doctor, and he said, "Oh, that's your work." He said, "Really, that's really good work." And then he went and basically snatched the number that the voodoo doctor had in his hand. And then after the voodoo doctor realized that Beetlejuice tried to fool him and try to trick him into losing his place in line to be the next one to be judged or showed where he was supposed to go in the afterlife, he went and he pulled out some magic. He pulled out some like herbs or something like that, and he began to shrink the head of Beetlejuice. Now, I made mention on my community tab that that is an Indian thing, and now here's the proof to prove that. It says the history of shrunken heads, down to a science. Connecticut Science Center, the history of shrunken heads. August August 3rd, 2022, 11 a.m. So let's check out those numbers, right? August, that's the 8th month. Then they decided to talk about on the third day. The time they posted it was 11 o'clock, which is a master number. And it was posted in the year of the 6th, which is 2022. Interesting. So anyway, it says the history of the tribal practice of creating Santa holds great symbolic and spiritual meaning to those who made them. This practice originated in the Amazonian rainforest, situated between northern Peru and eastern Ecuador. This region of the world is where the practice originates from. Thus, it is known location that they have been found. The Giavaran Indians fought over land and resources and hunting grounds, leading to men conflict. After defeating their enemies in battle, they would decapitate them and bring their heads back to their settlement to make them into tias. This process was passed down through generations. While it is no longer practiced, it holds great cultural significance to those descendants of the Giavaran Indians, which include 4 tribes, the Shuara, Achura, Huambisia, and Aguruna. These tribes believe the practice of shrinking a head of a slain individual was to acquire the soul of the slain individual. This will give the person additional power and protection against strife, against suffering the same fate. Then the Santas were worn around the waist, showing your prowess in combat. How is a head shrunk? The shrinking process begins with sewing the eyelids shut and scouring the mouth closed with wooden pegs. Next, in a large boiling pot, the head was simmered for 1 to 2 hours. This was how the head was shrunk and required a great deal of precise timing and care from those creating it. If it left it in for too long, the head would effectively lose its hair, and if taken out too early, it would lose its structural integrity. And then right here they're showing you some shrunken heads of enemies that they killed. Once the heads was removed from the boiling pot, it would have shrunk down considerably compared to its original size. Skin would also appear darker and more rubbery in texture. Then the skin would be turned inside out to remove any remaining soft tissue with a knife. This was followed by resewing skin and continuing the shrinking process. Hot stones and sand were placed inside the head to make it contract from the inside. In addition to this, it was also tanned the skin on the inside to preserve it. After reaching the desired size, additional hot stones were placed on the outside of the head. This sealed the face and shaped the features. The skin was then rubbed with charcoal ash to darken the complexion. Tribesmen who created Santas believed this will keep the vengeful spirit of the individual from seeping out and causing suffering. The final product was placed over a fire to harden up and darken the complexion even further. Then the wooden pegs will be removed in strings to lash them together. The last step in the process involved creating the band by which the warrior would wear the head around the waist. A hole was created in the top of the head, and the string was passed through it so it would be worn properly. It says controversy. During the 18th and 19th century, as European explorers found their way to the South American continent, the explorers encountered the tribes who created the Santias, and the shrunken heads captivated those explorers, and they began to trade with the local Giavarian tribes to take the heads home as souvenirs. These souvenirs became highly sought after, which increased the demand of them back in Europe and in the U.S. The tourist trade capitalized on the new fascination of shrunken heads, leading to the creation of fake heads made from sloths and other animals. These shrunken heads were not made by local Amazonian tribes and not considered real. Okay. It says physiological and genetic indicators that can help identify the authenticity of the head. Only men were turned into shrunken heads that were created by the Givorian tribes. The reasoning behind this is that males comprised the vast majority of people partaking in battles. The increase of demand in heads was met by a dramatic increase in head hunting parties of both humans and animals. So the two main reasons behind creating tisantas were cultural practice of making battle trophies and to meet the demands of collectors and tourists. During the 1930s, the Ecuadorian, Peruvian governments outlawed the trafficking of shrunken heads to combat these efforts. Since then, it is generally thought that there have been no authentic shrunken heads made. There is a great deal of mystery still surrounding the practice of shrinking heads, although as we study and learn more about them, we get closer and closer to unraveling the complexities and fascinating process. And then here's one right here on display. Okay. So if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and like this video, and also hit the notification bell so you can know when I drop a new video. Thank you.